Well, hello creators. How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode where every Tuesday we get to dig deep. We get to dive into a topic about growing an audience on YouTube, growing your channel, growing a business around it, and everything that makes it possible for you to reach people and change their lives. One of the things I really love about the role and the job that I get to play is working with a lot of you guys as creators. And today what I want to share with you is a recording from a consultation I did with a YouTube channel called the DayaDaily. Now, they are a newish channel. They've been around for around 9 months, actively growing their channel, and they've reached about almost 13 million views a month, and they are getting ready to transition into full-time status. In fact, as of this recording with this consultation with this creator, they had just turned in their 2-week notice and are getting ready in like 2 weeks from this recording to go full-time. So what I want to share with you guys today is our conversation that I had with them about all this. They had a lot of questions, and if this is a phase that you find yourself in, like a stage where you're getting ready to go full-time on your channel, I think a lot of the questions that they asked and that we discuss here in this podcast will be very helpful for you, and hopefully it'll benefit you as you get ready to launch out on your channel full time. If you do want to work with me one-on-one, I'd love to do that. You can sign up at videocreators.com, and I'd love to hop into a call and record one of these private sessions with you guys as well. Now, let's get into the recording from the DayaDaily channel and hear some of the things that they're going through as they get ready to launch full-time into their channel. There's a few things we can do here. You have a long list of questions, and we can work through those, which I feel like might be the best use of our time. I have a few things that we could talk about regarding the channel, but I think hitting your stuff would probably take most of the time here. Okay. So why don't we do this, though? Why don't you fill me in on the backstory of your channel and how you got started, and what made you do this first video over 2 years ago, and then kind of what your goals are for it going forward in the future.
I'm a makeup artist, and so I was working with a lot of clients that wanted kind of lessons on how to do makeup. And so I decided to start doing YouTube videos to show my clients like how I do bridal makeup or whatever. And so I started filming those, and I started my own channel that was kind of smaller. And then my daughter, Daya, she said, "Mom, I want to make a video." And so we kind of just set it up just for fun, and just kind of, that was kind of her first couple videos that are just her little goofing around.
Yeah, they're cute. They're fun.
Yes. And so then we kind of forgot about it. And I'd always, I really got into watching a lot of your channel and Daryl Eves, and started learning a lot of things on how to actually make it a business. And I was like, you know what, I think I could actually do this. I really want to do this. And so then she made a video with her cousin around Halloween time, the Shimmer and Shine video.
Yeah.
And so we posted that, and it was kind of another one that I didn't really think anything about it. And then a month later, Daya ran in and she's like, "Mom, my video's on the front of YouTube." And I was like, "What?" And so then, so I looked at it, and she had 60,000 views on it. And it just blew my mind. And then from there, it just kept growing and growing. And so we decided, okay, let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's just keep pumping out videos. And
yeah. Well, that's a great video. 8 months ago, almost 11 million views. Great title, great thumbnail. And then you start watching it. I mean, what little girl doesn't want to watch two other younger girls doing makeup on each other with some mommy help in the background? So that was great.
So, and she loves dress up and playing pretend. Whenever she has cousins or friends over, that's what they want to play. They just want to play dress up. And so I remember that as a kid. And so it's been really fun to be able to incorporate my love of my passion and then kind of help her to do it too. So it's kind of where it came from.
Sweet. So what are some of the goals for this channel going forward, where you guys want to take this thing?
So my husband's actually going to be quitting in 2 weeks, because kind of your bottlenecking you talk about, totally have reached that. And so we're making enough where it can sustain both of us, but we want to make it even bigger. We really want to start incorporating selling a product as well as starting sponsorships. Like that's kind of our gray area that we don't know how to dive into that yet. Don't know how to reach out to companies. We've had some companies reach out to us, but a lot of them kind of almost seem like scams too.
Yeah.
And so it's like knowing which ones to take. So we just want to keep it growing, and so that it grows to be more of like the business side of it.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's super scary, isn't it? And awesome at the same time.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Tim does it with his family. So I'm like, okay, I can do this, right?
Yeah, a lot of people do this. And welcome to the group of people who are doing this. It's scary. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking when you're like complete control of this stuff. You have no one else to blame if it goes. Well, people blame YouTube all the time, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And sometimes there's something there, but most of the time there's, it's people don't like to take personal responsibility a lot of times, but yeah, this is going to be awesome.
So these are kind of questions like going forward that we don't know how to.
Yeah, let's work through them here. First one, you said that 98% of your viewers aren't subscribers. So how do we get more people to subscribe with it being a family-based and children's channel? What tactics to get them to subscribe, good ratios, all that kind of stuff. Who is the main demographic? I'm assuming is young girls, but like, can you tell me a little bit more about who that audience is?
Yeah, most of our demographic is children. But like, if I look at like, it's like 63% are female between the ages of like 25 and 34 is what it said on analytics. So I'm guessing most of those are people that are just kind of giving their kids the iPad. And
exactly.
So that's what's kind of hard is it's like, well, how do you tell little children like, oh, push subscribe? Like they don't understand that.
And even if they did, their moms would be like, why am I subscribed to this?
Yeah. Well, there's children's channels that have millions and millions of subscribers. So I know that I don't know. There's just something.
Well, they're also doing what you're doing around 12 million views a month. I think I saw, right? 12, 13 million.
Yeah.
We did 12.8 million the past 30 days. And you converted 20,000 of them into a subscriber. So that's already pretty good for this niche with that. So you're already doing, like, I would say if in the children's niche anyway, so a little bit different in other niches, but in the children's niche, you're already doing pretty good. The way, and have you watched your daughter browse YouTube before or not? Just kind of like,
yeah.
Okay. Does she subscribe to channels?
No,
yeah.
Well, if she does, it's on accident.
You're right. Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to touch that. I want to hit this thing, So most children, it's a very different browsing, viewing habits or patterns, whatever that they follow. And so I wouldn't be that concerned about trying to get subscribers. If you do, like, it's great, but if you guys are going to live on this full time, that monthly, you get paid for views, not for subscribers.
Yeah,
and even
too.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I noticed in your videos, you guys are doing the call to action to subscribe right up front in the video. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I typically recommend that you just keep it at the end, like after you've delivered good value, then go ahead and ask for something in return. Okay. But obviously, you're already converting at a higher rate than normal in this niche from what I've seen. So you can keep it there. But I wonder, is your audience retention graphs, are they pretty solid in the beginning of the videos, or are you losing a lot of people?
No, they're pretty good. They stay pretty high, and I don't know if this is good or not, but it stays they usually drop off around like 4 minutes, 3.5 to 4 minutes. So I don't know if that's good or if that's not good.
Yeah, I think, that's about half of your videos or video length, right? They tend to be around 8 to 10 minutes-ish. So it's about half. I might recommend, do you get a lot of ups and downs in yours also, or is it just flat basically?
Sorry, you kind of glitched. What was that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you are too. I'm not sure. I'm like looking at my internet. I'm like, I'm not uploading anything, and I don't think Netflix is going in the other room, so I don't know. But do you tend to your audience retention graphs tend to go up and down a lot? Like, are people skipping ahead a lot in the videos?
Let me just look really quick.
I'm just wondering if maybe it's worth doing an experiment of doing the call to action at the end, or just keeping it visual, like not doing a verbal one, which by its nature will mean that the, decline. And so you might not get as many subscribers that way, but you might increase the watch time, which ultimately would be better for your channel in terms of the exposure you get and the growth of the channel overall.
Yeah, the graph is steady. Like it's just completely straight.
Cool. Is there much of a drop off in the beginning or not really?
Mm-mm.
Cool. Then keep it. It's fine. If you wanted to mix things up and try some things, maybe try not having it at the beginning and getting into the content a little bit more quickly. After you like hook the kid with your opening and they're like, ooh, I really want to see this now. Maybe your hooks are probably enticing enough that it's keeping the kids watching. But but as far as like the subscriber ratio, having 98% of reviews coming from not subscribers is actually healthy, because if you were, well, that's actually pretty high, but for your niche, it's different in different industries. But for the kid, that's just fine. And it also means that it's healthy in that your channel isn't dependent on you just keep uploading new videos all the time. That gets like really old, really fast, keeping up with that grind. It's fine. I would just leave it the way it is. It's good. And then sponsorships, number 2 here.
Yeah.
What to charge, social blue book seems really high, how to start, examples of contracts, should we reach out to brands, things like that. Yeah, this is all fun stuff.
Like we've tried doing FameBit, a couple of those, but our social blue book is so high and like people on FameBit don't really want to pay that. So I didn't know if it was better to just kind of do a couple of smaller ones, but then...
No, you're at a place where you can start reaching out directly to some of these brands. There's a few ways you can do it. I would start maybe like, what are the brands like you just really love? Have you done any brand deals yet?
No. We haven't.
Okay. Then a great way to get started would just be to reach out to some of these people on via Twitter. Have a quick pitch. You guys have a media deck put together? We
don't. Okay. We have kind of a letter that we sent out one to Sony because they had their Smurfs movie come out and they were on FameBit, and so we just applied for that one, but we never heard back because we kind of pitched over the amount that they had set on.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know if it would be more beneficial to like reach out to Sony directly or.
Let me send you an example. I think. Let's see if I have a media deck, but I thought I had a draft one. Yeah, so this is a draft one. This is the one I share publicly because it doesn't have all our personal information stuff in it. And it's really old. This is an old one. Really needs to be updated. But you'll get it's from like a few years ago, but it's okay. You'll get the I'll put the Dropbox link here in chat for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that'll give you an idea. And so you can just look at that. But basically, they'll walk you through it real quick. What a media deck is just a quick synopsis. It's like a slide presentation that you're reaching out to someone and they want to know more about you. It's kind of like, your pitch to them.
Oh, okay.
So you want to keep it like these people are busy, like these marketing people, especially the type of people you'll be working with at this level. They've got lots of opportunities of people who are clamoring for their dollars. So you don't want to make it like a 30 slide. I recommend like 8 to 10. Mine's 12, I think. Keeping it like short. So I just start off like, who are you guys? Like they've never heard of you. Open it up with, who are you guys? What are you all about? Then I include like some stories of like comments from people to that kind of summarize. Like this isn't just us claiming to be this. Here's some actual stories, because for us, the stories and the impact that we have on people's lives is like the most important part of all of this, way more than anything else. And so we want to work with brands who get that and are on board. So some brands will read this and be like, I don't get it, whatever. Like, why isn't it just about views? We want to work with brands that are want to be a part of the story that we're telling. Mm-hmm. And then you can see there's some demographic info, showing, our audience is our family's channel. So female millennials there, breaking it down to their location, where they're located, showing that, we have a lot of Western, UK, US, Canada. You don't have to break it all down like everyone, just show like where the bulk of your viewers are coming from. And there's some stats there you can see as we kind of broke it down between different places, and then a couple examples of other deals we've done and some highlights from them, and then next steps, how do you get in touch with us? So
yeah, okay, that's great.
So use that as an example, put something together. I do recommend that if it seems from your thumbnails that you guys have some design ability from something somewhere, like you have really solid, strong thumbnails.
Oh, thanks.
So if you, otherwise I would recommend it's worth paying a designer or not a designer. I forget, like someone who has good page layout skills. I forget what they're called, but someone who can make that look really attractive. Because if someone's got a stack of those things in their inbox, like and is yours versus someone else, everyone's just looking at the prettiest one. And good design equals perceived credibility and professionalism. So it's doing that well. So once you have that media deck, then it's easy to do like what I just did. Just have it on Dropbox or somewhere online that people can just download it. And if it's Twitter, you can just link to it. If you're going to put it publicly, make sure you take any like personal info, like phone numbers and things, address, and things like that out of it. But
doing it on Twitter, that's a good.
Yeah, so Twitter can be sometimes a good time, especially for the smaller brands. It's a good place to reach out. Another place is to go to LinkedIn and make sure you really beef up your LinkedIn profiles so that they're all looking like they're all up to date and everything looks good and communicates well. And then just start searching for the CMOs, the chief marketing officers of the companies you want to work with. My wife and I have had a lot of success with that.
Okay.
And then the other thing we do is we just look sometime on their website under their contact things. Sometimes they have like media, or they have more and more of these brands are having influencer contact points. Mm-hmm. So we just use one for a brand that we're sponsored by now, Shipt.com. They just deliver our groceries to us. Now my wife's super pregnant. We just, completely pregnant, but you know what I mean? Where she can just grocery shop on our couch, and then it shows up at our kitchen table about an hour or two later. So we're like, this is a company we're going to use a lot. Let's get sponsored by them. So we went to their website and found the contact form and filled it out, and it got passed on to the right people. And so that one's a deal now.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to start doing that then.
After that, after you start getting a few of them, like the first few might be the most difficult, but after you have a few examples under your belt that you can do and present to people, and then after that, it kind of turns into a lot of networking, a lot of who you know. If you get to the point where you want like an agent, there's plenty of people who are just like independent agents, or you pay them. Like the way I have a guy who I give him 30% of any deal he brings to the table, and he gets 15% of any deal I bring to the table. So if I bring it to the table and I pass it off to him to manage all the contracts and everything, I pay him 15%. You get it. So you get to that point, you have a friend. That's what mine is a personal friend who works with a lot of brands as a part of his normal job, his day job. And he's allowed to bring me up if he thinks it makes sense to the company he's working with. Mm-hmm. So, but there's also some like independent artist or independent brokers and things like that you could get connected with. And the best place to meet them and interview them would be at like events like ClamorCon or VidCon or even CVX Live. I'm sure there'll be a few of them there that you could connect with.
And then for sponsorships, like is that the price range that you use is on Social Blue Book? It
depends on who you are. So like I do, and I actually have more than that. Because that's a general price point on there, and I have some certain things that make my audience a little bit more valuable, more competitive, fewer ways to reach my audience. I'm talking about video creators. On the Families channel, though, it's a more general audience, and there's a lot of people who have that audience. Mm-hmm. So I still get kind of close to it, but I haven't pushed I haven't. Well, I take that back. There's a few. The few deals ago we did that actually one brand actually offered 3 times more than what Social Blue Book offered, but I turned them down because their contract was unlimited worldwide license to use in perpetuity. This means that they can use our image for anything and everything for the rest of time. And I was like, I don't want to do that. No. I said 1 year is what I gave them, and they said no. And so I said, all right, no deal. So I turned it down.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you can typically get that right now. Maybe if you feel more comfortable, work up to it. So do a few or just pitch it. And sometimes, like I just did a deal with someone yesterday that I pitched them not really high. It was a good price range, but I thought like it was going to work for them. I thought they were going to have to do some negotiating. You can always come down in price. You can't go up in price, once you say a number. So I pitched it and they just took it without blinking an eye. And I was like, oh shoot, I should have said this. Not really. It was a fair amount. It was fair for both of us, but so you can always come down, Okay. And then I did another deal just last week. I have multiple channels, so these aren't all on one channel. On another channel where I quoted them really high, and it was only because like I was going to I'll put a lot of work into this that most of their sponsors, people that most of the creators I work with probably wouldn't go to all this length to make this as valuable for them as I wanted to do. And it was just outside their budget. And so we just worked out. I took out some of the things I was going to do, and we came to a place that worked for both of us. So,
okay.
A really good book to read that was really helpful for me is called Pitch Anything, called An Innovative Method for Presenting, Persuading, and Winning the Deal, by Oren Klaff. O-R-E-N, and the last name's Klaff, C-L-A-F-F. It's not in this... it's not about pitching brand deals. It's just about how to pitch yourself, whether you're pitching your product, pitching yourself in an interview, like whatever. And that has been really helpful. That was really helpful for me in knowing how to negotiate and how to come in and presence in the room and the conversation and things like that. So,
okay, that's great. When you're writing up contracts, or when somebody sends you something, do you have like your lawyer read over it, or are you pretty good at?
Always have a lawyer, like whatever that fee is. Mine is about $250 for a contract review. Absolutely always worth it. Even if your deal, which it wouldn't be in your case, but the first deal I ever did didn't cost, I lost money on it because I paid $250 for the contract review and only got paid like $100 or something. But it's mostly the things that if they send you a contract, you read it, you're like, okay, I understand, this makes sense, and you sign it. But what you don't know is all the things that should be in it that aren't in it, the things that you should clarify that a lawyer will point out for you, like, hey, this is what this says, but it could also mean this, and the only way you either have to get it clarified now before you sign or in a court of law later, those types of things. So I can recommend...
Or a type that you recommend?
There's a few different ones I would recommend. One is the guy I use. I've been using for years. And he's not a YouTube lawyer per se, but he's a trademark copyright lawyer who specializes in online stuff. Okay. His name is Kenneth Kunkel. Let me get his website for you. So Kunkel Law. So he's the guy I use. I don't get any kickback from any of these people, just so you know. Full disclosure. I feel like I have to do full disclosures now. So he's the guy I use. A really good friend of mine who is also more of a YouTube specific lawyer. I was just using Kenneth before I met this other guy, but his name is Jeremy from J House Vlogs. Have you seen their channel?
I haven't.
They have about they're getting close to 1 million subscribers and doing about 50 million views a month. And so he's an attorney who turned YouTube creator. Quit his law practice and now is starting his own law firm for YouTube people. And he would be more specific on the YouTube side. In fact, I did a whole interview with him. I was at his house a few weeks ago, my family, visiting their family. And I shot like a 45-minute interview with him about all the terms in contracts and brand deals and MCNs and everything you need to know about them. So that's awesome. Here in another month or two, but they'll be at CVX, so I can introduce you to them at CVX if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then the last guy is as well about legal stuff. He's actually, I put his email address. His name is Jonathan Katz. He's actually the guy who owns ClamorCon also.
Okay. So
that event I was telling you about. So that'd be a good connection to have anyway, and come to the next one. So. He would love to have you guys out there. You're a perfect fit for that event.
Yeah, that would be way fun. We want to start going to a lot more of those because we haven't done any of that yet.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So those are 3 guys I would recommend. I've only worked personally with Kenneth, but I know the other guys. So
okay.
And let's see. Yeah, so if they don't have a contract, there's a few ways you can do this. Sometimes if it's you're part of a deal where someone's like the brand already has their contracts in place, then you'll just review their contracts. If it's someone who doesn't have contracts in place and you reach out to them, they've never done this kind of thing before, but they're excited to try it, then you can work with your lawyer to get a contract drafted. Or the third option, this is the option I usually take, and it's just because of the way I like to operate. I just like doing things on a gentleman's handshake. So I actually do very few contracts, like legal contracts now. It's just like, hey, do we trust each other? Like, if I don't trust you, I don't really want to work with you anyway. Not to say that it can't come back and bite me in the butt one day. Yeah. But if I get, like, I only want to work with people I have good vibes about anyway. So I end up doing a gentleman's handshake. I'm not saying I recommend that. That's not legal advice. I'm just saying that's how I like to operate.
Do that. That's
I do it. I like the big one I said where we negotiated and came back down. That one is gentleman's handshake. The way I do is like anything specific that we discuss, I just put that in the invoice notes when I send them the bill, and they sign it, or they when they pay it, it's kind of like they're agreeing to it, so that the communication's clear. It's not going to hold up in court of law or anything, but
okay.
And then even the big one that we did for our family, like ship.com, that's a gentleman's handshake as well. So anyway,
okay. Great.
Let's see.
The next thing.
Anything else about that?
No, I think that was perfect.
Okay. Growing the business product sales. You want to talk about that one, or which ones of these are most important to you? Do you want to hit?
Yeah, well, I think some of them are just quick, like yes or no's, but I wanted to hit like product sales and then like our channel art and like a designer for that.
Yeah.
Really, really simple. It's just something that I kind of came up with, but I would really like to make it look a lot more professional.
Yeah. So one of the questions you had in the beginning too is how do you convert more people into subscribers? Mm-hmm. The way you lay out the front of your channel here can make a big difference. Let me share my screen with you so we can talk through this together. So most people subscribe on the front of the channel right here, not on the button beneath the video, but like 100% more. So Kid Nation is a little bit more liberal, but even then you can look in your analytics and find out exactly what the ratio is, but most people subscribe right here. So when you come to your channel, this header image, yes, needs to be updated, like you said, to pitch the value of your channel. I would also suggest putting more playlists laid out in the front here, not just your most popular ones, but maybe like, hey, new to the DayaDaily, like, is it Daya? Is that how you say it?
Daya. Mm-hmm.
Daya. So here to the DayaDaily, here's some videos to get you started, and featuring playlists here that would get kids into it. So that's another bigger conversation to have about how we do that, but get kids into your content here. But updating this design would be important. Mm-hmm. And are you asking, what was your question again? I just started talking.
Yeah, well,
who to use?
Do you have any recommendations on who to use? Like, I've reached out to a couple of people, but haven't been impressed by either their design or their...
Here's the email address of my designer that I use.
Okay.
She's awesome. Her name's Julia. She's also my editor. She edits all my videos.
Isn't that your editor?
Yeah, she's great. She has a PhD in digital design. And obviously through working with me, she knows a thing or two about thumbnails and stuff like that too. I'd never had her design my header image before, although I probably should. Mine needs to be updated. Mm-hmm. But if she has any questions, she can reach out to me too. So obviously, but you can just reach out to her and ask her how much that would, I don't know how much that would cost, but she would do a great job.
Okay. And then in the header, do you think it's a good idea? I've seen some channels do this where they have like the days that they upload. Do you think that's important to do? Or do you think, because right now I'm trying to do 1 to 2 times a week, but should I make it more like Wednesday and Sunday, or, and
it depends on who you ask about this. You're asking me. And so I said, yes.
Okay.
It's important, but not as important, because if that kid niche, like they just come and whatever's on that homepage is what they just tap on, you know? So they're not particularly like looking, but it's still a best practice. And if you get some kids who just love your content and they just know every Tuesday, Thursday, they can come for a new video. Maybe they'll like, oh, it's Tuesday, she uploaded a new video. You know, they might be more likely to get some of that. If you don't communicate it, you'll get zero of that, none of it. So I would say it's probably still worth communicating, although it's probably not going to make or break your channel.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay, and then for like product sell and ideas, like with it being a kid channel, I don't know, I've been struggling to try and think of like what to do and how to even integrate that.
It's more tricky on a kids channel. I don't know any kids channel that's like nailed this and really figured it out. A lot of I'm sorry?
I said, oh, good, we'll be the first.
Yes. So here's one way of thinking about it, and I'm not even convinced it's the best way to think about it, but it's just kind of a starting point, is you can't collect information legally from a kid, you know, especially your audience are under 13 years old, and they can't even have an account on YouTube. So even YouTube themselves legally can't collect information from them. So, and they don't have credit cards or debit cards to use to buy your stuff anyway. So you got to get the parent to do it. The tricky part is the parents aren't the ones watching your videos for the most part. So a good person to talk to about this would be Shannon at Bounce Patrol Kids. Are you familiar with her channel? Her channel is called Bounce Patrol Kids, just like I said. And she has a kids channel. It's targeting kids younger than you are. They're probably more like they're ABC, phonics type stuff. And so I have a whole video of working with her through the same question on my channel. I don't know what it's called, or I give it to you, but it's in there somewhere. The short story is that you set up in AdWords remarketing campaigns or tracking remarketing. Do you know what that is?
No.
So, you know, when you if you go to Amazon, you look at something, but you don't buy it, and then you go to Facebook and Instagram, that product is following you there. And it's like showing you, that's what remarketing is. Okay. So when you, if someone watched one of your YouTube videos, you can then put ads in front of people later who watched your videos. So the idea is you set up these remarketing, you don't have to sell to them yet or anything. You just enable tracking in your AdWords account. And you link your YouTube channel to your AdWords account. You set up the lists, and that they'll hold that data for like a year and a half. I think it's like 60 days or something like that. And you can have lots of lists, people who subscribed and watched one video and didn't subscribe, people who liked, people who commented. Like, you can get pretty granular with it. But basically the idea is you set up this remarketing, and then you set up campaigns, paid campaigns later in AdWords to target the accounts of people who watched your videos, and see if you can't set those up to target the adults when they're actually like maybe on blogs or websites, or maybe not watching kid content, maybe target like more of the older adult demographic type of content on YouTube or something. And something in fact like, hey, your kid watches our videos and we really love partnering with you as parents. You know, here's a free tool we want to give you. Sign up for our email list, and we'll give this to you as, just to stay in touch with you so we can work together, link arms with you as a parent. Like something like that. So you're just capturing their email address or something, getting to an email campaign, and then selling through that instead. Okay. Really roundabout. And I don't know anyone who's done that like super successfully. Yeah. But that's kind of where I would start anyway.
Okay. We thought of even doing maybe like some kind of an app, because I think most of our demographic watches on a mobile phone. And so we thought of maybe trying to sell some kind of an app where, there's so many times when my kids come up to me and say, can I buy this app? Or, and it's just easy for me because I just do a thumbprint and then like, oh, it's a couple bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but I don't know anything about that, but.
Yeah, that's a whole other world to get into. That's another way to do it. Yeah. Okay.
And then, so when you get spam comments on videos, like I know you want to leave like the haters on there, but like what about the spam ones? Should you just leave those as well?
It's up to you. It depends on how much time you want to give to this. On video creators, I like keeping that community pretty well curated because I want there to be valuable discussions. I want people to feel safe. I learn from the conversation. So I want it to be the type of place where I want to go read the comments. So on my family's older videos, like videos we published like a year or two ago that our audience is no longer watching, we get lots of junk and hate and stuff on those, and that's fine. My community is not on those videos anymore.
Okay. Yeah,
so if I would go into your blacklist settings in your community and your channel and just set up all the keywords you can think of that are relevant, that like are the commonly spammed. We're like on video creators, it's like sub for sub, instant, thing. Anything that's like check out you might want to put that phrase in there. That would be something, those types of things. And just over time, see how well you can just grow that list and do most of the hard work for you. And some will always get through. Some will just be super creative with spelling and whatever, misspellings and stuff, and get through also. And I'm just like, if I see it, I delete it, but I'm not actively worrying about it all day.
Okay. And then another big question I had was like, we've implemented a little bit of like vlogging and different kind of videos on her channel too, because we try and focus mainly on like her character transformations. But do you think we should create a separate channel for those kind of things, or keep it on our channel? What I've been trying to do is do like one a week is the character transformation, one a week is like something like a vlog or a challenge or something like that. So I don't know.
That's a good question. Because your husband's quitting like today, today's he hitting his resignation?
Yeah. His last day is August 4th.
So did he just hand it in like yesterday or today, or like this is all?
There you go.
I'm only saying it because of that situation. If it was me, I would just want to like get this thing humming. Like, let's not take any risks, any chances. Like, let's just make sure like this actually works out. It's a big step. And then after that, after you guys were like, okay, we're doing like 12 million views a month. Like now we're up to like 40 million or 20. It doesn't matter. Just when you feel like comfortable and stable and you get into the rhythm of like just personally the family. Like I know when I came home and I wasn't going to work every day, threw off the entire family rhythm for my wife. It was a lot of personal family things we had to work through, and which has been great now, but there's just going to be a lot more transition stuff going on than just economics. So I would say then later, and you feel comfortable, then maybe consider starting another channel, but not right now. Okay. And I would also maybe do an experiment or two with it on my main channel before I make a whole new channel and promote it. I would probably just like, let's just try this. Let's experiment and see how it does on our channel. And if it flops and you're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't invest into a whole new channel on this,
Do you have any advice on like, because our biggest concern with doing that was like health insurance and like how to run everything personally now.
Yeah.
You don't really think about that.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to get political or anything. I'm just saying our experience is, when the Affordable Care Act kicked in, it got impossible for us. It was not favorable to self-employed people at all. Wow. So it more than doubled our deductible and more than doubled our premiums to the point where we couldn't afford it. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And we couldn't get on the government thing, and we tried, and there was a whole bunch. That's a whole nother story. But so we actually don't have health insurance. The way we do it is we do a bill sharing program called Samaritan Ministries. Now it's a Christian organization, so it's there's other programs out there for other people, but the Samaritan Ministries is one that we looked into and used, and we love it. If we had known about this before health insurance, we would have gotten off of health insurance. Like, we're actually thankful for the Affordable Care Act now. It's way more affordable for us. We had baby twins, identical twin girls, about a year and a half ago, and they're like $80,000, and we didn't pay a dime for it. It was just awesome. And because we're, instead of our money going to a central location who then disperses it to people who have bills. We send our money directly to another family. And because of that, like we have a little note, like this is what the money's going for, thank you. We got like gifts from people. Congratulations on the twins. We got like cards. We got like notes. We got like old grandmas knitted some like little booties for both like the twins and said like all like you don't get that with insurance, like that type of human touch is just awesome. So that's what we do.
You get benefits for that on your taxes?
I don't know. I have an accountant who deals with all that. So, which is another thing you might want to consider, having a good accountant, especially with your, and I can refer you to mine here. I'll give you my.
I've actually talked to him.
Oh, Ryan, did you talk to him already? Good.
Yeah, I've reached out to him. So
he saves me
he's had
tons of money in taxes. Like setting up your kids as child actors, and
yep.
You talk about that? Okay, good. Setting up IRAs for them at a young age is awesome. Yeah, whoever you go with is fine, but like a good accountant might be able to point you in the right direction with that. You could maybe look into the government program, see if those are right for you or not. You might set the bite the bullet and just decide, you know what, we're going to make this up in additional views every month somehow. Or, but for us, it made sense. It's way cheaper, and we just love what we're doing through the Samaritan Ministries program. So.
Yeah.
But there's other bill sharing programs out there that aren't that are acceptable. You don't have to pay the tax penalty for not having health insurance under some of those.
So I've been really trying to decide on whether or not to use an editor. That's kind of been my hardest, let go. And I mean, it's so time consuming. Editing takes the most time.
Absolutely.
And I've heard you talk about that so many times in all your videos, and I'm just, I don't know, very, very apprehensive on making that leap. So I don't know if you think that that's something that I should do. And I'm kind of like, well, my husband's going to be helping me now, so that will give me more time for the editing.
It's just, to me, where you guys are at, it's a question, do you want to do it now or later, really? You're eventually going to end up bottlenecking again.
Yeah.
So, and you can do it later. Maybe that's the best decision for you. Like right now, we want to just get into this rhythm. Everything's changing for us. Let's wait a few months. That might be the smartest thing to do with him being home and helping now, is exactly what you said, and getting through that transition period and then looking into it more later.
Okay.
I mean, do you want me to tell you like my process of how I work with one, or how I onboard them to get them editing the way I do, or what? How can I help you with that?
Well, I saw, because we did your course where you talked a lot about like how you found an editor, how you hire them, how you work together. So I've seen your whole process.
Okay, good.
And so I think I know how to go about it when we decide to do it, but I just didn't know if you felt like most YouTubers, if that's what they end up having to do.
It depends on the creator. Some people that's their baby and they just love it. Mm-hmm. Some people like me, for most people it's their baby. And that's the hardest part is I've been editing all these videos. I know what to cut. I know what not to cut. I know, and how can I communicate? And you've seen how I kind of handle that in the course then. Turn YouTube into your career. Is that the one you're talking about, I think? Yeah. So you've seen how I work with my team in there, but, if you get a good editor, like you work with Julia, or I have two editors. Julia does all the video creator stuff, and then a lady named Christina does all of the family's vlogs. If you get a good editor who is familiar with the space and things, sometimes they can actually end up doing a better job than you. That's been my case.
That would be the case for me too.
and you actually see audience retention go up, more watch time because of that. And so sometimes you're like, I'm so glad I let go of this and let someone else do this who's been studying. Like Christina, for example, has access to all my analytics on my family's channel, so that when she makes these videos, she can go back and look at the audience retention and learn how to better edit my videos. And then she tells me, hey, Tim, here's here's something I think we should do differently. When you shoot these, shoot it from this angle, or do it that way instead. Or I need B-roll of that. She helps coach me then, because she's studying all that. And that's one less thing I had to do. So.
And then just kind of if you've looked at our channel, do you have any advice that you thought of or that you think would be beneficial for us to do?
One thing that I think, I looked at, I didn't make a lot of notes because I figured we were going to go spend most of our time talking through yours. And I do have to go in 4 minutes just so you don't have another call. But I'm actually paying someone else to talk to me about storytelling, which would be fun. But so the one note I did make it that we haven't talked about yet, though, is getting those viewers to those end screen elements. You're doing what a lot of people do is they wrap up the video, and then you have bloopers, which is awesome. That's fun. Do people usually watch those and stick around?
We have a lot of people that comment on them. They like the bloopers.
Okay, good. Yep. So then at the very end of that, while you're still wrapping up the bloopers, I would maybe move your video to to the upper right screen or something, upper corner of the screen, and have an end card that has your end screen elements around it so that you get people to click on them before the video ends, as opposed to ending the video, then having like a black background with just some cards there that they could click on, that type of thing.
So you're putting the bloopers in the end card.
Yeah. Is that what you're doing? Or I must have looked at the bad example. Okay. Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that way that they show up before they leave the video, so they're there to see them. And if you get them to click on those, from what I've seen, those end screen elements are one of the most valuable traffic sources that you can have from an average view duration perspective. Like most people watch your videos for like 4 or 5 minutes, you said, if you get someone to watch one full video, click on one of those, that person's usually worth like 10 minutes. So usually worth twice as much watch time as your next top highest. So getting them to those end screen elements is really important. Wow, so much we covered, guys. That was a lot. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback. If you're watching the video of this on YouTube, I want to hear those comments down below. And if you are not, you're listening to the podcast version of this, I want you to tweet me at Tim Schmoyer, or you can post in the show notes. You'll find the link that goes to this podcast episode at videocreators.com, and you can comment on it there. But what other advice would you have for this creator as they're getting ready to go full-time on their channel? I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. And if this is your first time here, I would love to have you subscribe to the YouTube channel if that's where you're watching this, or if you're listening to the audio in iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, any of those places where we publish this podcast for you guys every week. I want you guys to subscribe, because one of the things I love about this long-form content style is that we can dive deep into stuff. It's not just 5-minute quick tip video of 3 things that you should know or something like that. It's we can explore some of these topics in more depth. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next Tuesday for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you guys then. Bye.